That's it. 30 seconds. What's up, y'all? Happy Tuesday. Start a little bit late. Sorry. But
Good
welcome to
late.
Free Thinkers. What's up?
Late.
Just a little bit late. That's all right. We stayed late last week, So we got a good conversation tonight. I say it every week, and I try not to drag it out too much. You know the rules. Go to the YouTube channel. Go to the Facebook channel. The link for the stream tonight and every Tuesday is always pinned to the very top of the Facebook Free Thinkers group page. So if you ever want to join a conversation with us live on Tuesday, which means you're getting into this live panel, you just got to click on the Streamyard link. It seems like the issue with the names not transposing from Facebook to Streamyard is a your settings issue. So somewhere in your settings, you're not allowing Streamyard to get your information from Facebook. And so it's not posting your name. It's just saying Facebook user. So if you're not sure how to fix that, that's fine. Go over to our YouTube channel. I've got the link on the Facebook group page. Go over to the YouTube channel and you can chat with us over there in the live chat, and it will totally show your picture, your screen name, however you identify over there. It will transpose it over here onto the StreamYard link. So then when we put your post up on our stream live, then obviously folks can see who we're talking to. Otherwise, if you do not allow the settings in your Facebook app or on your phone app to allow StreamYard to get your info from Facebook, it's going to keep calling you Facebook user. We can see it on Facebook, obviously, but we can't see it on here. So it just makes it hard to converse with whoever is trying to chat because we don't know who the hell we're talking to. So if that's showing up for you, then go over to the YouTube channel. And besides, you need to subscribe anyways. So, I mean, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, now's a great time. We have 600 plus members on our Facebook group page. Why in the hell do we not have 600 members over on YouTube? So please, now would be a great time to mosey on over to the YouTube channel.
I mean, we should have at least 3. If we got 6 on Facebook, we should have at least 300 on YouTube.
I'm like, duh, we have 600 and I think 30 people on our Facebook page. We should definitely have more people on our YouTube channel. So go find us over there, please. But we will obviously, engage with whoever comments in the chats if we can get to you, which we generally do try to get to you. But we always invite you to come onto the panel live. You don't have to know a whole bunch of stuff about a whole bunch of stuff. You just have to want to have a conversation and be willing to back up whatever it is that you say on here, because we're going to talk about whatever it is that you say on here. So please do come and join us. We just do ask that you be in a quiet space. So obviously there's no background interference and we can just hear you clearly. So I also prefer that you have your camera on when you're talking so we can see who we're talking to. But if you need to mute it or mute yourself or turn the camera off for a second, if you're doing something, that's cool. Just like to see who we're talking to. So all the information on the Facebook Free Thinkers page, all that good jazz, adult conversations, adult topics, totally up to you if you want to listen to this around your kids. But, we always encourage you to probably let this be an adult thing as opposed to having your kids around. Nonetheless, thank y'all for joining us. Thank y'all for who are sharing the channel. Thank y'all for who are watching. Always appreciate the support. I had somebody tell me last week, like, oh, I watched a couple episodes, it was cool. And I was like, no, like, people don't understand like how much we appreciate that. You watching a couple episodes, even just clicking on the button means everything to us. That is literally support to us. So we appreciate that. So please hit the share button. Please tell people about us. Let folks know the Free Thinkers is out here. If you know people who are interested in these types of conversations, we would love to have them join us. So
you know what I love too? Let me tell you what else I love.
Are you low or is it just me? I feel like you're low. Like volume wise.
I don't know. I sound loud to myself unless
okay, so maybe I have my volume all the way up on my phone. I just feel like you're not as loud as you should be. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I try not to change my settings unless one of my kids come in and start twisting my stuff. One of the things I love is when we have a show or recording and someone comments or likes or shares 2-3 weeks, a month, 2 months later. I'm like, yeah, that's dope. I love delayed reactions.
Well, so there was a couple this week. I don't know if you noticed it because I know you're not on as much as I am, but there was a post that Indiana actually posted like last year, and it was something about, I don't even remember what it was about, but when I read it, because somebody else had rehashed it. So Lloyd did actually. So when I read the comment, my response that I responded to was literally the same verbatim response that I gave a year ago. And I was like, hold on, I'm having deja vu. Like, I feel like I've had this conversation before. So I go up and I look and I was like, damn, this was like 53 weeks old. I was like, he's just digging in the old crates. And then a few more posts later, another post pops up from like a year ago. And I was like, oh shit. So it just took me down a rabbit hole. And then I went to our YouTube channel and I started watching a bunch of old videos.
Yeah, I went back and watched that old one that you posted on there.
That Undisputed Facts, man, that was golden. Those were some golden times. We had a big panel at that time, and that was an interesting conversation. There's some damn good conversations we've had on Tuesday nights, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we love it. We love it. We love it. We obviously do. Somebody asked me earlier today, like, oh, you want to be famous, don't you? No, not even a little fucking bit. What people don't realize is this started in a basement. Like, this started in a coffee shop. This wasn't like, oh, let's get rich and let's monetize our voices and let's, like, no, I still think that we're really small fish in a really huge pond. Would we love to reach more people? Absolutely. But this is not about
we will monetize this one day, and we will monetize this
as we should.
But it's going to be on our
bullshit podcast can get monetized, and real shit podcasts
it's definitely be monetized by us doing what we do the way that we do it.
Say that again.
I said we're going to get monetized by us doing what we do and the way that we do it.
I believe that. And I'm totally okay with that. You know, I've had people say over the years, you know, y'all should be further along, or you should change this, or y'all should do this. And I'm like, I appreciate the input. I appreciate what you say, but thank you. Like,
it's never going to be designed. I said that to I say that to several people. I tell people it was actually I think my sister said that one day about, I think her pastor had goals of his church being a certain size. I'm like, y'all church ain't never gonna be that size. And then she was like, why? And I said it ain't because it's not quality, but I said your pastor doesn't cater to the masses. He's not going to give a message that's, you know, there's a reason, and I like Joel Osteen, I really do. But it's a reason that his church is that big. He does very safe, palatable messages that everyone can agree with. He's not going to say anything that's going to ruffle any feathers ever. So you're going to get a larger audience when you have more vanilla conversations or subject matter that everybody can agree on. Like in the same news flash, most of the actual best rappers are not these huge mainstream rappers, because they will talk about and they will do things that a lot of people are not willing to cater to.
Right.
So I understand, like, no, it's your success. And that's one of those things I had to learn to be okay with, like, not being liked. I will not, or probably should never be liked by a lot of people, because not only what I say, but I mean, I'm willing to say things that a lot of people would refrain from saying, that for the sake of being nice and being your friend, they would just not say anything to you, versus I will say things that are controversial. I will be disagreeable. I will do things that will turn some people off. We will talk about some things that's going to turn people off. We're not going to sit on the hot topic buttons all day and try to find things. Well, when we talked about this last time, then we got this amount of viewership and numbers, so then we're just going to keep talking about this, and we're going to embellish it, and then we're going to become caricatures of ourselves to get people, and we're going to do these polarizing topics for the sake of grabbing people. We not like that. So all I'm saying is we will never be large or mainstream like that. I believe we will be monetized and we will have our own thing, but it's not gonna go pop. I guess that's something that I can say. Right.
And I'm okay with that, because, you know, I don't subscribe. I don't subscribe to the rules of society, right? And I don't subscribe to following the rules a lot of times with society. And I know that when you get into that lane of monetization and notoriety, you have to follow rules. And I'm not going to
That
change
was
what we do. Not change. I had somebody ask me today. He's like, so basically when y'all do y'all's conversation, y'all go on live, he's like, you turn into a different person. I was like, fuck no. I said, I would invite you to watch a couple episodes and then you can come back and ask me that question. I said, no, I said, who I am in my real life is literally who I am Tuesday nights on Free Thinkers. So there's no different Nikki that you get out of me as a friend. Now a partner may be different, right? You get a different type of energy. But as a person, as a friend, as somebody that I know, the same girl that you know in your real life is the same girl that you're gonna get on this show. Like there is no watered down version or no safe for TV version or cloudy version, right? Like you just said, appealing to the masses and the specific topics and catering one direction or another. No. And that's what makes this space, to me, the most authentic, like the greatest. You can literally be just you, and it's totally okay to be you here. And I think that's what we're missing in a lot of spaces.
I do.
I mean, and with what we're going to talk about today, it kind of goes along with it, but
like when did this happen to where everyone feels that you're supposed to get along with everybody and be everybody's friend? Life ain't designed to be that way. It's just not designed to be that way.
You're right. But I think because we were always raised, most of us, to just be nice and don't hurt people's feelings. And most of us weren't taught that it's like okay to actually have boundaries around what works for us and what doesn't work. So we think that if we, say something that's not nice or do something that's not nice, if we hurt somebody's feelings, that we automatically have to be responsible for that, or we just would rather not because people don't like confrontation. A lot of people don't like confrontation. And confrontation doesn't mean you have to fight somebody. Confrontation is just a passionate disagreement between two people.
Right.
But a lot of people they're not comfortable in their own skin. So they can't have these types of conversations. They won't have these types of conversations.
Because I had this conversation on another one of my shows, and they were I forgot exactly what we were talking about, but it was really about, it was relationships. So it was talking about relationships and if the whole number scale, and if you're a 10 and you need to know that you're a 10, if you're not a 10, if you're 8, if you're only a 7 or a 6, then stop trying to go for 10s when you're really only a 6 yourself. And like all of these things people keep saying, and you'll never find it. I said, you don't need to be liked by everybody. You just need to be liked by the one person that's for you.
Right. Ultimately,
just find the right person that's for you. And everybody else, if I'm not your cup of tea or that person, as long as I'm the right person's cup of tea, then that's all that matters. I'm thinking about who was the person. There was what was the name of that lady who got sued by Cardi B? Do you remember who that was?
Oh, that was Tasha K, wasn't it?
Tasha K. Okay,
the blogger chick.
That's a perfect example of someone who fell into the trap and they got they became imprisoned by that trap. They start making money off of it, and you seen me talking about this person got me a certain amount of views. So then you kept on talking about them. Then you start talking about them bad. Then you just start making up stuff that wasn't even true.
Literally.
And you just kept on doing, and she literally like, well, I was making money off of it, so I wasn't gonna stop it. I wasn't gonna take it down, even though it wasn't true. So like, what are you even doing? You have no desire to have a real conversation at that point. Well, all you're doing is looking at numbers and say, I'm gonna keep feeding this machine right here. That's it.
And if she ever had any actual integrity starting whatever it was that she did, it's lost at that point. Once you start lying on people for fame and clout and money, like once you start defaming somebody else literally for personal gain, you've lost all credibility, in my opinion. And I get it, like blogger sites are no different than gossip mags back in the day. So what's the difference, right? But the difference is our social media drives things today. Gossip mags back in the day were nowhere near as powerful as social media is today. Hell, some people ain't never even seen a gossip magazine before, but everybody is tapped into some bullshit on social media today. So it reaches a much greater mass when you're talking about lies being spread and just, dirt being done on social media just for likes and for popularity and for attention and for money at the end of the day. Like, you really, I guess you can also kind of see it like in, you take something like love and hip hop shows, right? Like in the very beginning when those shows first came out, I thought they were good. It wasn't because I like to see women fight. Like, I hate that fucking part about those shows. I hate how they do women in those shows, right? But you have to also agree as the woman to participate in that bullshit. So I get it, whatever, but like, as now the seasons have gotten into, like, I don't know, year 30 of Love and Hip Hop, you
bringing the kids on the show now. The kids getting into it with other people.
You totally see how it's morphed from like a little bit of bullshit entertainment to completely fucking scripted. Like, there might be a small fraction of their lives that are true, but everything else is so exaggerated for nothing but likes and views.
The conversation is not even natural. It's like, why are y'all even sitting here in this club? Ain't nobody in the club, and y'all just sitting here talking and then some subject comes. I'm like, this is the most unorganic conversation I've ever seen, and it's just like, best practices said, are you ever going to go back to meeting in a coffee shop or another setting? Okay, this is what we do.
We do it all the time.
We in September, we were talking about this. Okay, it's still hot. It's still 100 degrees. So what we'll do, we're going to take a poll. Pause. And we will see how many people would be willing to meet up on a certain day in October. And as long as we get if we get 12 people to commit, then that means at least 6 to 7 people will show up.
Right.
And we'll set a location somewhere in North. I think North Austin is Central Austin.
Right now it is.
Right, think about Round Rock and all the other places, and so we'll, whether it's Genuine Joe's or somewhere in more of a central location or vicinity, we'll do it. So we'll put that together soon. We had to get a head count. Like I said, if we get at least 12, then that means at least 6 or 7 show up. 6 or 7 people is perfect.
Yeah, that was always a good Tuesday night. Yeah, that was always
12 is actually too many, but I know 12 is actually too many. But if
10 was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if 12 say they coming in, I know about 6 or 7.
Yeah, 12 ain't coming. But to that point, anybody who's listening to us that may have a space that can facilitate us, please let me know, because we are looking for something that obviously has a quiet, private room, right? So like the coffee shop was great for us because it was an old house. So they had like a basement cellar type of deal with doors and shit. So we had this huge room to ourselves. It was super perfect. We've met in bars before, and that's cool, but like, you can't have a conversation in a bar. Like, it's too much.
We have,
It's too much, too loud. And we had a great time doing it, but it was just too much, too loud. So if anybody has a space for us, that we could facilitate a meeting at, please let us know. A little promo for you, and a little link for us. But that I would love to do some in-persons again, just because that's how we started. And I know that a lot of people have asked about doing some in-person over the years. So
October we're gonna do it.
October, cool. I look forward to that. I look forward to October. So best practice, we hope to see you in October then, basically, is what that turns into.
That's what he's saying. Okay, so we in Austin, we still have to we'll decide if we're gonna go live. I'll think about it. Probably go live. I don't know if we go live or maybe just record it.
The person we should make it exclusive to those that show up. If you want to be a part of this conversation, we need to go on ahead and show up to the meeting, and we'll see you next Tuesday on live. But this Tuesday is exclusive for people who want to show up and pull up and do this thing the old school way.
Do it old school. I agree with that.
Because that was one of the things, that was one of the reasons that we always kind of like, back in the day is, because we liked the confidentiality aspect of what was shared in that room.
And to take it a step further, I've heard a lot of people over, I guess, the years now that we've been live, on Facebook and other platforms. They really admire how raw and open our conversations are. And that started closed setting in the basement, and that's we developed the freedom to be that open and raw, and that's just put it out there because and I see a lot of times people get not, I don't want to say camera shy, but they are so camera aware.
Yeah, they're very camera aware.
Whereas I'll be forgetting that we actually I'm
Me
just
too.
talking like we all up in
Me too.
like we just here.
Me too. I mean, I guess to some people's point, right? They do have jobs that probably, would feel some type of way if they participated in certain conversations with us, and that's understandable.
That's why you look at the spelling of my name. People ask why your name spelled like cuz
Why you spell your name like that?
So if employers, past, present, or future, try to look me up, try to pull my actual name up on Facebook, you will find very little.
See, my shit's just out there. You can pull up all me and mine, but for me,
you work for yourself now.
So for me, like, I have a different lifestyle, right? Like, you can't fucking fire me. So like, it's okay. You cannot come to my program, but like, because who I am is who I am, you might want to fuck with us more because of how I come across and how I talk to people, right? And it doesn't work for everybody, but like, yeah, I don't have the fear factor of, my husband's job or my kids' people. Like, I would love for my kids' teachers to watch an episode of Free Thinkers, like, oh, that's their mom. That explains everything.
Oh, now I get it. Okay.
So I'm not like, and I don't know, like, I'm just comfortable with being transparent. I think that is one of my superpowers, is I can be transparent, and I don't care. I don't care if I'm sad or if I'm angry or if it makes me cry or if I have to apologize. I'm okay with that. And there's a meme that I've shared a couple times over the last couple weeks, and it's a little bit off, but it's not. But it says, when we recover loudly, basically it prevents people from dying silently, right? So it's important to. It's important for some people to know people that have a voice and who are willing to use it and who are not afraid to just go all the fuck out, right? And not be afraid of what happens. There's no repercussions. You might not like me. That's okay. We'll be all right. You might not want to watch the show. That's okay. It's, respectable. You don't have to. But yeah, so I think that the in-persons definitely kind of formed that ability to be able to have these deep conversations because they were protected, that now we just are like, oh shit, yeah, this is on the social media now. But what is it? Everything's on social media now.
Right.
But nonetheless.
Okay. So topic today, we're getting into it. For those who haven't heard, there's this I think it got to be a viral video if I
it's definitely viral at this point. Yeah.
Viral video of, and you feel free to interject anywhere if you feel that I'm leaving something out or missing something or incorrectly presenting the story.
Sure.
It's really a very short clip. You just see a woman talking about she got hit with a brick. You can clearly see there's a huge knot on the side. I mean, a huge knot on the side of her face. And she's crying. It looks as dark outside. It looked like they're in a parking lot. I can't tell if they outside of a club or apartment, or I can't tell exactly where they are. There are people standing around. And she's screaming and hysterical that she just got assaulted. And none of these other black men helped her or would do anything or would say anything, and they just allowed it to happen. So there was seems like there's been quite an uproar again about how do we allow these things to happen, and how come nobody steps in and helps in these situations. So we can get deeper into that in a second, but we want to talk around. There's a lot of different dynamics of this situation, and we want to kind of navigate several different elements of it. So let me. I know I put this in here, so let me.
Did you record it?
Yeah, I grabbed the clip. Let me. Hopefully, this is the clip right here. Is it?
Nigga, get it, I'm going. Yo, this man just hit me in my face with a brick, and all these black men just watch, and they don't give a fuck. Yeah, this man hit me, fucking grabbed a rock, and it hit me in my fucking face because I would have given him my number. And all y'all just fucking watch. Y'all see that shit? Y'all see that shit? What y'all do? I want y'all to be a man. I want y'all to be a man and fucking do something. Y'all gonna let a man hit me in my face? Man, fuck all y'all niggas. Have I ever done to anybody in my life to deserve this? I never did anything in my life to hurt anybody. Literally, a man asked me for my number. I said no, and he picked up a brick in front of so many men and was like, "What you gonna do?" And I told all these men, like, "Yo, why this man got a brick on my face?" And he's holding a brick, and all these niggas is watching, and nobody does nothing. And he hits me in my face, and they all just watch, and they let that nigga get in a car. Privileging him. Thank you.
I feel bad.
This is for the fact that you're a white man and I'm a black woman. I have less privilege than you. Thank you.
I feel bad.
You ever fuck with me, I don't say that ever again. You ever fuck with me, I don't say that ever again.
So those are different instances where she's been seen on tape slapping people. Let's start with the first video. Nikki, what are your thoughts or observations off of what you saw from the first video?
So
I don't know if the second video just changed your mind, but
well, I mean, I'd seen the first part, and I saw up to her in the emergency room. So her originally in the video, you know, talking to the dudes that were in the spot, and then of course her follow up from the emergency room. So I saw those two. The first day, which I think was yesterday. And then today, of course, the internet warriors do what they do and they go find stuff, right? And I mean, she's got a public page, so it ain't like it's really hard to fucking find. But they then, of course, found other videos of her certainly highlighting the behaviors in which she has, right? Some people were trying to say that, you know, one doesn't justify the other, but most of those videos were like a year old videos. So those videos that were at the end of what you showed were other instances, like you said. So it wasn't like she had slapped a dude and then he hit her back with a brick. Like that's what some people were trying to tie together today, and that's not what it was, alleged, like apparently, right? So my first thoughts when I saw it at like 5:30 in the morning when I woke up to go pee, and of course I jumped on social media because, like, you know, good healthy people do that.
You jumped on social media at 5:30.
Good healthy people do that. So, I might miss something. I don't fucking know. So I jump on social media and I'm scrolling, and like that's one of the first things I see on Shade Room or something, and I was like, damn, this girl's face, like there's no doubt about it. She was fucking hit. Right. Okay, so she's hit, she's crying, she's in the emergency room. You know, I felt like maybe she had been drinking, which, you know, no excuses for anything. I'm just assessing what I see about her, right? You can tell she's got a little slur to her speech, but she was also just hit in the face. Something happened. Yeah. I didn't know who she was. I'd never seen her before. Like, I didn't know who I'd never seen any of her videos before. So I followed her page to try to learn some more about her because I heard it happen in Houston. And I was actually going to send it to Grizzy's Hood News. Shout out to Grizzy in Houston, because she's got Houston news covered far better than any news source ever could. And so as I'm, you know, just kind of reading a little bit more about her, I was like, okay, well, she's got a little, you know, social media following, so on and so forth. But I was like, man, that's fucked up. Like, dude asked her for her number, and it resulted in her saying no and then getting hit. But I didn't want to jump to any conclusions because it was too fucking early. That doesn't mean that I think that she must have done something to warrant being hit with a brick, but I just needed to wait and get some more information, because sometimes women have reckless mouths, and a reckless mouth invites some really unsavory people and situations. So I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to make any assumptions about anything. I wanted to wait. So then as today rolls around, all these bits and pieces start rolling around about this girl. I was like, damn. It still doesn't change the fact for me that nothing she could have done, unless she was physically attacking this man in self-defense, he felt the need to have to hit her with a brick. Because there's a million ways that man could have stopped her if she was physically doing something to him. I believe that to be true. But hitting somebody with a brick is an intentional, like, injurious, I don't even know if that's the word, action. Like, you literally are trying to fuck me up if you're trying to hit me with a brick. You're not trying to slap me. You're not trying to, backhand me. So nothing you can say is going to justify that to me about her being hit with that brick. Does that mean that women, does it mean that, women can just say whatever and nothing's going to happen? Absolutely not. And I think anybody that thinks that is probably going to get hit by a man at some point in their life. Because there are fellas who will clearly hit you upside your head with a fucking brick. There are clearly fellas who will stand by and watch you get hit with a brick. At the same time, I understand not wanting to jump in because anything could happen. She could have a gun. He could have a gun. Anybody could have a gun. Anything. There's so many bad things that could happen.
That's true.
But nothing that she did could have warranted being hit in the face by a man with a brick. And I'm going to stand on that, regardless of what she said or did. Even if she said the most foulest, nasty, vile thing, there's other ways that he could have handled himself better than hitting her with a brick.
Yeah.
What's he talking about?
Well, hold on. That's gonna go in a different direction. I just put it out there. We ain't gonna go there yet.
So I don't even know if I'm going to answer your question.
It does go into the question because we are going to be talking a little bit about double standards, so that will fall into a little bit later as well. But so before I jump to my first question, Ivory, what had you saw that prior to me showing it, and if so, what were your observations about that? That's in your backyard. That's in Houston.
I had not seen it prior to you showing it, but it was funny when, before you even showed like the clip of her hitting people, though, I already kind of had a judgment about.
You like something like, something.
I never do anything to anybody ever.
That was the whole thing in the hospital. But you can get, like, if you pay attention to the people in the background, they showed such a lack of concern. It was, you ever look at something even without knowing the whole story, you could look at the people in the background and the people looking like, yeah, you had that coming. Like, you can just get the vibe. Everybody, double talking about the woman back there. It was the whole people. It was just a vibe. Like, you looking for sympathy, but you had that coming. I don't know what happened before that, but that's the vibe of the people in the background that I saw. I'm sorry, Ivory, go ahead.
No, and I wasn't even thinking about the people in the background. I was thinking about if somebody hit me in the face with a brick, completely unwarranted. That would be like the craziest thing, one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me.
Jump to social media
in my life. I would not be able to even process trying to explain that to an audience of strangers the same night. Like, it wouldn't cross my mind to be that
grab the camera.
Oh shoot, I got to go live.
This is what I'm saying.
Right.
People share these type of things because it's not the craziest thing that's ever happened to them. Their lives are crazy.
Right.
So
addicted to the chaos.
I remember when I had my son, he had to go straight to the NICU. Like we couldn't take him back to the room. Like, I was just so traumatized by my son not being able to come back to the room with me. I didn't even post that he was born. And when my other two kids, I was like, they're here. Yay! You know, I was literally like in my bed like this. Like, that's trauma. I don't know what that was she was doing.
Right.
It's some type of thing people who live dramatic lives go through these processes. And so I don't know what happened. I just know when I seen it, I was like, that's that drama. It's that cyclical drama. Not that you deserve it, but like you put yourself in certain type of cycles to play out certain type of
scenario.
That was my initial thought before I ever seen her slap somebody, is that looked like that drama.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for me, so it's going to be backwards for me because, like I said, I don't be on social media. So I was introduced to the story by someone that I know who's already had encounters with this woman before. And when she, if y'all don't know, she's an influencer. Also, her name is Cheryl Roberts. Y'all can look at her page. She goes down the list. She's known for dragging people when she feel they deserve it. But it's one of those. So she will go down there, and whenever there's an issue that she has an issue, then she kind of does this little presentation. She's like, all right, I'm about to go in. And when she go in, that means she about to pull out every receipt that you've ever seen. So the way I was introduced to this story was me seeing that through, okay, you see that? Yeah, this would be, and it was followed by, or even preceded by, I guess, because this girl had been harassing this person that I know for many years, because she lived in Austin before she was in Houston. She was also in Austin. She had been harassing. She had restraining orders out on her. She was talking about she put $1,000 hit. I'll give $1,000 to whoever showed me where she live at, and this, and like all of this. And these are actually snapshots and receipts on this. The girl put a restraining order out on her. She was on video doing these voodoo chants, talking about she gonna bring the spirits down on her. Something like you could clearly see that this is some. So anyway, the person who showed me this information through her page, it was this is what you get. This is you reaping what you sow right now, because you constantly doing reckless stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's the way that the story was presented to me. So I had all of this information presented while I was watching it initially. So that could have easily curbed my opinion on how I saw it, since I had a huge backstory about everything that I was looking at. So could be a little bit different for me. So the question, I'm trying to think of the question that I was going to ask. I guess that is. And then the other part that I didn't talk about is then went down the line, not only the restraining orders, but this person is a professional GoFundMe queen, where they have a half a dozen to a dozen GoFundMe pages and these false fake pages, and they're constantly saying that I'm a Muslim and I got beat up by my kids. They're looking to incite the emotions of the public, and then a GoFundMe page because I got beat up and I need help from a hospital bill. GoFundMe because I'm a single mother trying to make it through school. GoFundMe because I was harassed at the Dollar Tree and these people were being racist against me. And it's like everything is, she looks for drama to get people to feel sorry for her so that she can set up GoFundMe pages and people give money to it. That's her MO. So when I see this and when I see her get hit by, now this is the part that's going to sound really bad, but we ain't going to stay on this too long. We got some other topics around this. It makes me think that she wanted to get hit with the brick. Now, Nikki, think about it. Now you like, well, no, nobody usually, if she had just got slapped and you didn't see this huge swollen face, would you still have the same? You'd be like, oh, that's terrible. What happened? But you didn't see it happen. You just hear somebody's story. Would that really pull your emotions out of you? Like if she didn't have that huge swole up face, would this had even drawn the same type of attention? It would just be a he said, she said thing, and you just came on after the fact. But the fact that we got your face swole up, we know that something actually happened to you. Mm-hmm. I think she wanted to get hit by that. The brick and a swollen face equals more money in your GoFundMe. That's the way I'm really gonna get this money.
I mean, that's how I was introduced to the whole story, was literally her in the gown in the emergency room crying. I'm going through Instagram and I was like, oh shit, let me stop. And I was like, what's this girl? And it says, woman hit by man with brick for not giving her number. And I was like, fuck, what happened here? So that's how I was introduced. That is what got my attention, was the face swole up crying from the emergency room. So it won. I hate to say it won. That's a horrible fucking way to say that, but
she's viral now.
She succeeded.
I wonder what her GoFundMe page.
She succeeded in going. She definitely succeeded in going viral. She definitely succeeded in going viral. If it's not taking off your clothes and showing all your goodies to the world, then it's this.
Okay.
Get hit.
I went all the way to the end, which I ain't want to go that far, but I just had to get that part of the story out. Now let's just go back and break down a couple elements. And we don't have to talk directly about this story, but just in general to some degree, even though we kind of talk about this a little bit. And that's one of the things you mentioned, the word reckless, and that's one of the words I wrote down, Nikki. But should a person, okay, no, I don't even want to go right there. Not to the reckless part first. Should you still feel the same level of sorrow and emotion for a person once you find out about a backstory? So like you said, okay, yeah, she was slapping people a year ago and she was doing other things. Does that change your opinion about the situation at hand now, or do you keep it totally isolated? Like, no, it's still wrong. It shouldn't happen regardless of what she was doing in the past. She just don't deserve it. Or like, oh, you've been going around slapping people and provoking people. This is, oh, it looked like that's kind of like, do you lose sympathy for a person based off of their track record? I guess that's my question.
See, and I think that's the dangerous slippery slope that we're kind of seeing right now with all the responses given about this situation, because unless she was physically about to hurt him, and again, I stand by what I said earlier. I think there's a million ways he could have made her not. I think there's a million ways that he could have kept her off if she was coming for him, right? But from what we know, she wasn't. So I'm just using that as the worst case scenario. She's going for him. He has to defend himself. This crazy bitch. Like, I think there was other things he could have done if that was the scenario. So if that isn't the scenario, she wasn't doing something. She's just being reckless with her mouth. Sticks and stones may break my bones, the words will never hurt me. Like, you still have to have enough discipline about you as a human to not physically assault another individual because they pushed your fucking buttons, right? Especially when you're looking at the male and female dynamic, because even though there are women who are very, 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 very strong, most men can still overpower most women. So for that aspect, I don't think there's anything that she could have done to necessarily deserve being hit in the face with a brick. Now, had he hemmed her up and scuffled her up a little bit and she slipped and fell because he was trying to keep her off of him, that's another story. But
yeah, when you grab him, you a violent person when you grab him. That ain't even in my mindset to be grabbing bricks and hitting people in the head with it. You dealing with a special type of individual.
What the fuck? Like, a brick was just conveniently on the ground, and that's the first thing that you reached for to grab to stop.
This is the law, though.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go. No. You go ahead. You go ahead first, Ivory, and then I jump back. Go ahead.
I agree with everything you're saying. There's no reason a man should ever be hitting no woman upside the head with a brick. Right. But I also will say, I believe in reciprocity. And there are, I'm not even in the sense of like energy coming back to you and stuff. That's not even the way that I believe it. But there are
the law of averages.
That's that too. But there are, like, when you do evil, like that stuff we seen her doing earlier, like slapping people she knew ain't gonna slap her back. That's like evil stuff. Like you're sowing seeds of evilness inside yourself. And when somebody else evil reciprocates your evil, that makes sense to me.
And that's what I mean by the law of averages, Ivory. If you slap somebody, if you keep slapping people, eventually
evilness growing in your heart. And somebody fed off of that evil in your heart, and you reciprocated that energy because that's what you're about. And so that does not surprise me. I'm not saying that it's right, it happened, but when I see those things, I am not surprised.
Yeah, and that's why I say the law of averages. If at some point the question is how many people can you slap before somebody slap you back? The thing is, eventually, if you keep going around slapping people, somebody will slap you back. If
Right.
you keep slapping people, then somebody's going to hit you with a brick or stab you or shoot you or throw you in a, like, if you just keep doing it, then the consequences will eventually come. That's why I said, that's why that's why I use this term. I say you can cheat and get away with it. If you cheat, you can get away. You'll probably get away. If you have an affair, you will get caught every single time. It's not the one-off. It's the habit. When you live a lifestyle of doing certain wrongs, it will always eventually catch up with you. So if you're going around slapping people as a habit, not just, oh, I lost my temper, I shouldn't have did that, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. You might have slapped that person. Now you might get knocked out the first time, you might get away with it. But if you keep slapping people, the law of that is going to catch up with you. That's just like in anything. If you drive recklessly,
you eventually
you're going down 35, 120 miles an hour, you might get home the first day, the second day. Eventually, it's going to catch up with you. Like that happens all the time. You got people drunk. You know how many drunk, Nikki know this, drunk drivers, DUIs, this and this. How many times did they drive home and make it okay? 122 times they got from point A to point B, but it was the 124th time it finally caught up with them.
And now you mad. And you can't believe this fucking happened. What you mean I'm going to jail for DWI? God damn it, you've been doing this every weekend for the last 15, 20 years. But it's like most of us were probably all raised with grandparents and parents who told us it's going to be somebody bigger and badder than you. So you can keep doing all this Billy badass shit, right? You can do all these things and you will generally find somebody who's going to, have restraint in certain situations, but there's going to be somebody who's bigger and badder than you. And that doesn't make it okay, but that is the reality at what we're really dealing with here. Because just like every one of us who thinks that men shouldn't do those things, there are clearly men who do. They're just
living reality at the same time too. We can talk about what's right or wrong, but reality doesn't always have a right or wrong. It just is. So best practices so do you think she said something warranted for a brick to be thrown at her face? I don't think you can say anything that warrants a brick being thrown at your face. Does her not being likable excuse his behavior? Nope. I think he should go to jail. And I think unless he got hit with some sort of weapon first, I think he should go to jail. Absolutely. So I mean, that's it. I can have an opinion about her and have a totally separate opinion about him as well. I can think that she got some issues and she provoked it, and to some degree she may end up getting what she deserved. And at the same time, I think he's dead wrong for what he did, and he should go to jail. Both of those things could be true at the same time. And again, it's a little speculation because we didn't actually see what happened, but we do know her face swole. But we don't know the little things that led up to it, or we don't know that part. Did she slap him? See, and that's what I'm saying. We don't know, but all we see a track record. She didn't just slap one person; she on there slapping people.
And everybody's not rap tight enough for you to be walking around. Like some people, men and women, they have serious mental health issues. And the normal response you would get
probably do too
from slapping somebody, they're going to have an escalated response to any form of violence. So that's just not something you play with people. So it's not excusing their behavior, but if you go around doing stuff like that and you end up encountering a truly mentally ill person or unstable person, there's no telling what's going to happen.
Yeah, so Fred, we don't, it doesn't show. We don't know what happened. Like, we didn't see if he asked for the number, if she slapped him. We don't know any of that at all. But what we do know, she got a swole face, and we've seen in the past videos of her acting real reckless.
That's what those end videos were, Big Fred, is her other instances of her being on the street live slapping people. So that wasn't direct related to that particular incident that we've seen, but that's what that was. So to
So I
speak,
don't know
speaking to
if
her
you answered
pathology.
that question. Let me re-ask you. I don't know if you does that change the way you view the situation based off of some of the actions that you've seen her do in the past?
No, that my answer was I had already read her before I seen that.
Okay.
Like I didn't need to. That sounds bad, but I did not need to see her on the street slapping people to know something didn't add up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then see, and yeah, Trayvon Martin died by the hands of Zimmerman, and they tried to portray him as a thug. Did he deserve to die based on what he did while he was among us? The answer is hell no. Of course, yeah, no, I don't believe that. And again, you talking about something totally different, Paul, because Trayvon did not provoke anything. We're talking about people who are trying to provoke certain things, and Zimmerman was the one who provoked the initial confrontation with Trayvon Martin. So those are two totally different things.
Zimmerman was a known provoker. Like we're calling her, she's somebody like a Zimmerman. Like Trayvon wasn't known to provoke anything, and he hadn't done anything wrong. He didn't have a past. The things they were trying to say was a past was not a past. It was just a teenager. So those examples don't match.
So Facebook, you said, do y'all think she will continue with her behavior after getting hit with the brick? Do you think this incident will make her think twice? No, at all.
Not at all. She let her drama.
Because she is getting the attention that she's always wanted. So now all of these GoFundMes, she only need one GoFundMe now, and it's about to get her paid real good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she wanted. That's why I was telling Nikki when we was talking about this conversation earlier. I said there was a certain, as stupid as this sound, like who wants to get hit with a brick? Yeah.
Right.
Who wanted to get in a fight with Mike Tyson, a street fight with Mike Tyson? But you had people who would provoke and initiate stuff with Mike Tyson, get their eye all swole up, get beat to hell because they knew they was going to get that payday.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody in their right mind would actually want to fight Mike Tyson, but you want the attention and you want the payday. And that's what she wants. She wants the attention. She wants the payday, and she about to get it. And she was like, if a brick on the side of my head or the side of my face gets me that, then yeah, so be it. I know this it sound bad, don't it? I mean, it sounds really bad, but
I mean, I think that the way that we are discussing it is like the mature way, honestly, to have this conversation, because unfortunately what I'm seeing is so many people, and I don't want to make it a men and women's issue, but this is a fucking men and women's issue. But what I'm seeing is not men who are just being like, oh, well, screw her, she had it coming to her. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing men who are like fed up with bad behaving women, men who are fed up with reckless mouthed women who never get held accountable, who are just able to just bark and bitch and do all the things that reckless, bad behaved women get away with. And men genuinely, I think in their hearts knowing, damn, that's fucked up. This chick was hit with a brick. But totally understanding, like, why she was hit with a fucking brick. I think that this chick may have took one for like the team of all really reckless women. Like she might have just got one for all the raggedy chicks out there. And as fucked up as it is, that's my reality, is those dudes are out there. So I can't be an irresponsible, reckless mouthed woman thinking some dude might not come upside my head one day. Like, but
the crazy thing is, Nikki, all she did was just invite more copycats. Depending on how her GoFundMe goes, always. It's gonna be about 4-5 more bricks and rocks, and people getting is about to come out the woodwork. So it's like, oh shoot, I can get 100,000 off of that. Then hey, let me go ahead and be that too. I honestly believe like half of these mass shooters, they just want, their life means nothing to them and they just want some attention. They like, I'll settle for any type of attention. Better than no attention, better than being unknown.
Now, statistics show mass shootings go up after mass shootings get televised.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
wow.
then you have like a season of mass shootings, right? Because other people sitting in their basement, like, that's my chance to have a name or
My
whatever. Like,
15
they
minutes of
see it
fame.
and it motivates them. So then you'll have this season of mass shootings, and it takes a while for it to die down. So
this is what I hope, and this might be the worst sounding thing I say all week, but I hope that, because now there's so many mass shootings that the mass shootings don't even get the play that they used to get no more. You might get 2 or 3 days, and then after that, then a lot of these mass shootings don't even make national news anymore.
News cycle drops you.
Yeah, like somebody got shot in what was that, the Dollar General in Jacksonville or something like that.
It was a pregnant woman, wasn't it?
I know it's 3 people. And
I know there was one case. It was a pregnant woman. It was a black pregnant woman, and it killed her and the baby.
And it was 2 other people who got. I know 3 people got shot. He let some white people out, and then he shot 3 of the black people in there. And this was
I heard that one too. Like last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they still talking about it?
No.
That's what I said. Like, you can't even. You don't even get a strong 3 or 4 days out of it now.
Wow.
So my hope is that since the media don't even have interest in covering half of this stuff anymore, that people won't even find the value to say, I can get attention or clout off of even doing this. Maybe, well, shoot, they'll have to find some other way. I'm sure they will, but just this, I don't think this is going. It's dying out. People like it, you just get shell shocked, and like it's you get numb to it because it's, oh really, again? Okay. You can't keep track. You can't keep track of when it happens all the time, because now it's not even an outlier. It's just, we expect somebody somewhere, something gonna happen once every 2 to 3 months now, or maybe 1 to 2 months, something gonna happen. It's like, yeah, that's just what happens. So you can't even. Static Vibe said, been over 400 mass shooting this year alone.
See, we're just talking about like maybe 5.
Right, and I think a mass shooting qualifies anything over 3, I believe.
3 or more.
Yeah,
I think it's 3 or more people.
And it's been over 400.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Damn. I like this point that the best practices put up. She says, but are we assuming that she was reckless this particular time? This may have been the one time she declined his request, or she may have been reckless. We didn't see or hear the conversation.
That's a good thought.
It is, but so maybe she wasn't reckless this time, right? Maybe she totally wasn't that. But so I don't look at her behavior as justification for it happening. Nothing she could have done, like I said, unless she was physically going for him, would have warranted him having to pick up an object and hit her in the face with it. Whether she was reckless this time or she was not reckless this time, that action doesn't matter to me. I think the point about her being reckless, though, is she has a pattern of this behavior, and this type of behavior is not going to go unchecked from everybody forever. Doesn't make it okay, doesn't warrant it, but again, they're out there. These people are out there. The people who will check a woman, who will hit a woman with a brick, they're out there.
I have to assume. So we say we are, but are we assuming she was reckless this particular time? Yes, I am. Based on the evidence that I have, I am assuming that she was reckless. Let me say this. City where I'm from, I love my city. We got a lot of drug dealers in our city. And when I had to describe, because if you look at Decatur, or I ain't gonna say the name, if you look at my city on the outside, people be like, what's wrong with y'all? This little town crazy. Y'all crazy. What's wrong with y'all? And it's, I know to a degree it's getting worse, but when I was growing up from 18 to 30, 35, typically what would happen there'd be a lot of shootings, especially for a city that's small. Most of the shootings would be drug related, gang drug related. So it's one of those things like, yeah, it seems really bad, but for the most part, if you're a law-abiding citizen that's minding your business and you're not in that game, you usually ain't got much to worry about. People ain't just messing with you unless you're out there in area. Now, do I think a drug dealer, I know some nice drug dealers. I know some people is just about their business. They're not violent. They're not like, this is what I do to make my money. But you are in a game that you shouldn't be in. You're in a game that requires or is surrounded by violence and reckless people. So even if you are nice and you're not that type of person, there are plenty of people in that game who are. So when you say again, like, do I assume like about what was the question are we assuming
that she wasn't being reckless this time?
We assume she's being reckless, even though we don't know.
So what I'm saying is, even a nice drug dealer is still being reckless. Even a non-violent drug dealer, you're still reckless because you are in a game and in the industry that reckless and violent behavior happens all the time. And there's also people who I know, see, because this is the other thing, half of the people who I know who got shot or got killed, you are just being in that game, you become a target.
Mm-hmm.
Because people know, y'all remember The Wire, Omar coming? I don't know if y'all watched The Wire, but it's too late for y'all to watch it now. It's been dated. But one of the things of Omar represented, would go around robbing drug dealers.
Mm.
He walk around with a shotgun.
That's gonna get you murdered.
But you know why they rob drug dealers? Because a drug dealer is not going to go to the police and say somebody came and robbed me for my money and my drugs. What do you mean by it? They can't say anything, so they're easy targets.
Right.
And there's plenty of people who I know, I ain't even gonna mention names. They got shot, they got killed because they were easy targets. They knew you had money and they knew that we can rob you and you cannot go to any authorities or police. You can't say nothing about it. You can't do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what I'm saying is that's a example of reckless behavior. Even if you're not reckless, that's still reckless behavior because you're not in the right type of environment.
Yeah.
So yes, that's my assumption. And I think that was one of the questions that I had. Well, let me try to re-ask the question a little bit different for Nikki and Ivory. Should someone be obligated, whether it's yourself or a man like me, do you think I should be obligated to jump in a situation where somebody's being reckless? Now, I'm making an assumption. I don't know if she was being reckless or not, but let's say she was. Let's say she's slapping people and getting in people's face like she was in the other videos. And then this happens, or the guy picks up a brick. Should I be obligated, or should I feel obligated to jump in when what's your thoughts on that? Should the Good Samaritan jump in and calm the situation when people are out there being reckless?
I would say I definitely think people should feel obligated if she was not being reckless. Like, I mean, she's a woman. If you're a man, you shouldn't. I don't think it's right for you to just let another man attack a woman with a brick. Now, let me say this. If she was being reckless and he picked up a brick, I still think there's an obligation for peacemaking, but maybe not an obligation for complete defense. Like, to me, those are two different things.
Right.
So she hasn't done anything wrong. Somebody's picking up a brick. I might say go out on a limb for this lady, because I would want somebody to go out on a limb for me so I can make it happen.
You saying if she was being reckless?
Now, if she was being reckless, I'm not saying step between, grab that man's hand, but I still think there's an obligation to be like, homie.
Oh,
Put down
hey.
that brick, man. It's not that serious.
You can verbally try to step in.
Verbally try to de-escalate the situation without putting yourself in harm's way. So I think it's two different ways to go about it. But I still think there should be an obligation to like see if you can bring that situation down, maybe from a little bit of a distance.
Yeah, but but then you also have the mentality and there's a way that you go about doing that. I don't think everybody has that. Certain grace is a way you got to do.
If you have the ability, you have the ability. You should feel obligated to use that ability to de-escalate.
Now, what's this you just had up, Nikki? Fred, you just cross-contaminated my whole analogy. My one analogy didn't have nothing to do with the other.
That's a whole lot of drugs. They never hit a girl in the mouth.
I wasn't connecting them two together. It was you supposed to catch the parallel, but they sit in separate categories by themselves. That's funny. Nikki, should a person feel obligated even when a person's being reckless?
I think because my natural default instinct is to help somebody in need and ask questions later, and that may get me in some bad situations sometimes. I could not walk past a situation like that and keep fucking walking. Whether I was with my man and I was like, babe, we need to do something, or babe, can you reach this man? Or I would have tried to say something to her, sis, what in the fuck are you doing? Like, there's no way I could have walked past this, whether it was me by myself as a woman and not address both of them, or me with a man and us not like, there's just no way I could have just kept on walking, nor could I stood and watched. There's no way I could have. At the same time, I never want to put my man or a man that I'm with in harm's way either, right? So I never want to put him in a situation where he's Captain Saving some hoe and he ends up getting shot or stabbed or whatever because of a situation some reckless mouth person got themselves into. So it's like a double-edged sword. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But I still feel like there are certain people that probably can and cannot handle situations like that effectively. So like you said, if you're one of those people who doesn't know how to de-escalate, if you're one of those people who just, if you can't even deal with confrontation, if you can't fight, like there's just some people who probably should not insert themselves into some of those situations. But how do you not do something? I would, and I can't say if I was a man, because I'm not a man, I have no idea what a man is supposed to feel like. But if I was a man and I seen that shit go down and I watched a woman get hit in the face with a brick, to me, that has to say something about the caliber of man that you are. You literally didn't try to intervene at all. That woman just got hit in the face for every woman that you wish you could have hit in the face that you never did. So you let that go down. She took one for the reckless mouth team. And I'm not okay with that. I don't know a better way to handle that. You know, I remember I got in trouble with my kid's dad once years ago. And I've told this story before. I was driving through the neighborhood, picking up my son from school. I'm driving back to the house. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. School just got out. And this lady, butt ass naked with a jacket on, came running out of a neighborhood, like into the main street at my car. There's no way I could have just fucking kept driving. All I know is this woman is naked with a jacket on. Something clearly happened. I opened my fucking door. She got in my truck. I stopped the car. I was like, what do you need? You know, as soon as, of course, once I get home and I tell my kid's dad what happened, he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, you're going to get y'all killed. He was like, trying to be nice to everybody. And I was like, if I was in a situation and I was taken off on foot, butt ass naked with a jacket on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would hope somebody would stop and be like, damn, what is wrong with this woman? Yes, could the crazy man she was with have followed me and my children? But you know what? We finna have some exciting drives, because I got some shit at the house when we get there. I got some shit in the car right now, and I got a killer. I got a whole killer at home whenever I pull up in the driveway. You don't want these problems. So I think in some situations people are probably more equipped to handle explosive people. It just is what it is. I would have to say something. I would.
So this is what I say. number one, I don't know if it's a soft spot, but I'm more sensitive if I'm feeling like there's someone with mental issues. I feel like I have a more of an obligation to try to protect them. And and if this person if I could see they got mental issues, I'd be like, yo, listen. I don't want you to treat them like you would treat somebody else, because maybe they not right up here. You need to
not even the same level.
Right. Don't listen.
Right.
We need to back up. So that's one thing that I would, if there's two people being reckless, if I can see that somebody clearly got mental issues, or I'll say this too, as much as I don't condone people getting sloppy drunk outside of their own faculties, and especially in unfamiliar places, that's not a good practice. If I see, man or woman, you drunk outside of yourself, I give passes on that. There's been people who said and kind of overstepped lines, men and women, like, hey, look, all right, you all right, just chill out. I'm not going to deck you in the jaw because you crossed the line either verbally or you invade my personal space if I don't feel that you're a threat, because you're a little bit too drunk right now.
Right.
And I'm not going to treat you the same type of way because you're not all the way there.
Right.
That's number one. Now, number two, talking about the situation, I pride myself in being a pretty good chess player. A thing I say I love about chess more than anything else, it teaches you how to operate steps ahead. That's why I say everybody should learn. Think about moves ahead, 2, 3, 4 moves. So I'm able to look at a situation early, even when a situation hasn't been escalated. I can see how conversation is going, the body language of the person who's. I'm like, this is about to escalate. It can be calm as all get out, but I'm putting all the pieces together. I'm like, oh, this is gonna blow up in about 32 seconds. So what I'll try to do is, if that's the case, I try to de-escalate it before it gets escalated. Try to diffuse it completely. Hey, listen, chill out.
Right.
Let them. If she's the one being extra, hey, what you doing? Listen, what you need? Do you if we're at a bar, you want to get a drink? Let's go this way, because you don't need to be dealing with this person this way. If this person is starting to get rattled, hey, look, she looked like she might be on a little bit. Or look, dude, come on now. You see, she not all the way there. Chill out. Let her, let's move around. And I will try to de-escalate a situation quick beforehand. Right. Now, if my attempts go unnoticed or unreceived, and I can see that a person is hell-bent on being a fool, I'm about to step back, let you have it, and whatever comes from that, I already did my part, and I'm moving out the way.
I tried.
And trust me, I do this. I'm down at the domain all the time. People get that liquid courage in them, and they start. I'm like, hey, yo, bro, come on, dude. The police is standing 20 feet away from us. You're not gonna get 2 punches off before you go to jail. Like,
yeah, you go to jail. You let us go out.
Let's get some drinks and have fun. What you doing? And some people, listen. And then other people, no, look, you got it, bro.
Yeah.
Don't do whatever you want to do, and you're gonna be sitting over there in the corner and sitting on the curb in handcuffs. And whatever you do, that's all on you. And not only that, I move completely out the way. So if you right here, I'm going across the street. I'm going. When I see danger, or I see issues, I make sure I'm in clear distance to where I can't even be looped into that whatsoever. So that's how I deal with it. I know we had some comments on there. Let me see some of these comments.
Well, my friend said obligated is a hard word. No one's obligated to step in, but as someone who has developed good morals, I wouldn't be able to sit back and watch it happen. And I thought about that because I thought about the alcohol component that you're talking about, right? And common denominator in a lot of this bullshit situations is alcohol. Who people turn into when they drink, who they allow themselves, to become when they drink alcohol, and I think about all the people that I know who've gotten into like drunk fights and just tumultuous situations where there was absolutely not a sober part to their body, right? And you could tell she was, you know, her speech was slurred. Who knows what their situations were? And none of these things are excuses, but you have to be realistic. You have to be mindful and conscientious of these things. Alcohol is a mood altering substance.
And if you listen, if you are a violent drunk,
that part,
do not get drunk in public ever. Don't do it.
yeah.
That's the dumbest thing you can ever do. I know some people, they get their liquor.
Don't do it at home. They don't deserve it either.
Right, like that part.
Yeah.
But at least
Yeah,
out in the public, you have a lot less controllable factors than you might have at home.
Or what I'm saying like this, because I know some people I know some drunk people in my circle who have violent potential. Or even but I could say like this: when you're in a controlled environment, like a house party or something, like the people who know you, they know how to deal with you, and they're not going to escalate the situation further past what it should go. Like, yo, Jimmy, what you don't chill out. You doing too much. Like people can calm you down differently than somebody like, what you want to do? Like, is you know, it can just turn different. Hold on one second. Somebody said I seen my name here somewhere. It said, you should know that's not always the case all the time. Well, ain't nothing the case all the time. Best practices. Sometimes even in controlled environments, men are reckless because they handle even respectful rejection poorly. And I agree with that. So best practices. Right. If I did not see the other stuff that she was doing before, I would have had sympathy. I would have taken her word for it. I would have been standing up for it. I would have been like, we need justice and all this stuff like that. And I think it makes it clear to me that the way that you live, the way that you live your life and the actions that you show, that is your habits, it tells a story, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't look at it the same. I could say it's messed up. He shouldn't have did that, but it changes the way I view it. I mean, it really does. And I can't control that. But after seeing what I saw in the ratchet behavior that she exhibited on multiple occasions, if that's what I have to go off of, and not just that. This is what you're promoting to the rest of society. It ain't even like somebody caught you on a secret camera. You putting this out there on your stuff. Mm-hmm. So you're boasting about being a bad person.
Boasting, and you can't say you feel different about being a bad person because it was still there for everybody to find. So you haven't had to change your heart about what you did a year ago. It's still up.
Yeah. So I mean,
okay. I do have another. And it's not women's fault because everybody hasn't been taught how to kind of assess an environment and make moves, right? But I always have this thing about women. Normally, before things like this happen, let's just be honest, bricks, slaps, anything. Somebody in that environment, even if it's not the person who hit you upside the head, some man in this environment has made an action, a move, a word that should send a bell off. This isn't a safe environment.
Right.
I've walked into environments and said, I don't like how they talking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how they move.
Mm-hmm.
Something about this environment just isn't a respectful environment.
The energy.
Yep.
And so when women walk into environments, before anybody ever touches you and you can just feel there's no respect for women in that environment, it would behoove you to remove yourself from that environment because those are the environments where bad things happen and nobody protects you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the other thing I say this is, I only had time to show a couple videos. Like I said, I saw a lot of videos of her on there, and so with all of the videos that I saw, it made me. My bottom line is she got mental issues. So for that part, I do feel I feel a little bad, but at the same time, your mental issues that's calling you to be a manipulator. Like you see, you got mental issues, but you're still smart enough to manipulate people. So I mean, I can only feel so bad because you still know what you're doing to some degree at the same time. And how bad can I feel if I really feel like you wanted that brick?
Say that again.
How bad can I feel for you if I feel like you really wanted that brick?
Mm.
And again, for those who are listening, let me reiterate, because that sounds as bad as it can sound. You really wanted that brick. But if you saw the things that I saw with the GoFundMe pages and the constant, like there's a cycle of looking for attention and playing the victim in many different roles, it validates what I just said, or at least gives a certain level of, I can see where he coming with that from. Me just saying that on the surface sound terrible, but if you saw all the GoFundMe pages and all the different things that she made up, this and this, it leads me to believe you wanted that. Without the brick, you wouldn't be bringing in the GoFundMe dollars that you're getting right now. So how bad can I feel for that? Now, that's just specifically. Now, we talking in general, somebody, I do feel bad in general if somebody get hit by a brick. Now, okay, so we got less than 10 minutes. There's one thing that I did want to talk about, and that is because I see once again, and see that, and this is the part I don't respect about her, because in standing, if I feel like she staged this to some degree or provoked it, then in turn she's turning around and ishing on black men, and all these black men didn't do anything, and they like she put
because
it
she was
again,
specific in that.
But you know what? That plays into the social media narrative that black men don't protect black women, and is going to incite more sympathy. Like she calculated in what she doing. And ain't none of these black men around here, ain't none of them do nothing. And they just stood around and watched. That's how you get this. You are a damsel in distress and nobody's coming to your rescue. So, and with that, this is what the little bit I'm on social media, I'm seeing it already. The divide again is separating further and further, and you get one person on one type of people on one side and one on the other. And see, that's why, you know, black men don't ever protect black women. And well, what if they lying or what if they're doing reckless? And it's stirring up that division and dissension that it always does. So my question is, at what point, I don't even know how to ask this question, but I guess I say it like this. I'm gonna throw a comment out there and just respond to it, because I got this in some of my other group threads and people put that out there. I'm like, and my response is, y'all need to do y'all homework, because you will see a clip that you didn't actually see the full clip. You just seen something that she said and you seen a lump on her eye, and then you go out there, you repost the clip, and then you add all this other stuff to it. See, that's why we don't need to trust black men, and that's why black women always on our, and we create a whole narrative off of that without having any real facts. Like, at what point do we have to do a better job of fact checking the information that we just throw out there?
Every time. We need to do a much better job of fact checking. And interesting that while you were saying that, as I was up at 5:30 in the morning going pee, reading about this story on Instagram, I always read the comments, because the comments tells you all the things that you need to know. All the questions are answered in the comments, who's in the comments, like all the stuff's in the comments. And that was a repetitive theme. Basically, I told you so, black men don't protect us. And I was like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that's not true, right? We know that's actually not true. And do we only see the narrative? And do we only see the cases online of examples where they're not actually being protected? Do we get to see examples online of where black women are protected by black men? They don't show those like they show these types of cases and incidences. And then they didn't show the person that hit her. They didn't show, I mean, like, I don't think that they identified who it was that actually hit her. Right. Again, I'm not saying anything is justifiable to be hit at all, but the intentional wedge being driven has to be addressed, because those that really and truly believe that they're not protected by Black men are definitely doing a disservice, because I don't think that's a true statement. I think most men in most situations would jump in and say something in that scenario.
Let's be honest too, at the same time. How many married women or women in relationships feel that they are not protected by Black men, if at least is protected by their significant other? A lot of this, a lot of it is infusing bitterness into a bigger story. So you and your baby daddy didn't work out. Oh, I didn't know. But you and your baby daddy didn't work out. And now since he on the other side of town somewhere and y'all ain't, like, it's one of those. Go ahead, Ivory.
And listen, let me play a little bit of devil's advocate before I go in on these people. It is not just people not working out with their baby's daddies, right? This has a lot to do with your relationship with your father.
Mm-hmm.
And so it starts before your romantic relationship. A lot of these people did not have present fathers, and they did not feel protected growing up. And that is actually a void that probably only counseling is going to fill, not people showing you examples of Black men protecting Black women. And I think that's what people don't understand.
That's a good point.
Like, there's a hole there already, normally from your childhood, and you are just reinforcing that narrative from that hole you have. And I could show you 15 examples, but it wouldn't fill that hole for you, right?
That's the starting point, Ivory.
To keep,
because if you felt protected by your father, then how would that, regardless of what situations happen, you always have an example, and the most significant example of protection in your life. You never feel that way if you had protection by your father.
And so it's one of those situations. I say the same thing about Black-white stuff. When people like, oh, we need to show more positive examples. We need to do this. We need to do that. I'm like, they are all around you if you want to see them.
Right.
The fact that you don't is because you don't desire to. And you need to, you can ask yourself why you don't desire to. I don't care why you don't desire to. I'm not wasting my energy on that. Like, it's just not true. I always say for Black women to say, see, Black men don't protect us. Well, who are you saying does then? Even if you don't like their level of protection, who else is protecting you exactly? If it's not
that's the thing. You're not protected. Now, let's even this out. I'll say this out.
Let me just say.
Well, let me even this out though. From a societal,
I'm gonna forget.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna forget. Even to say you're not protected as a woman is you being somewhere in la la land. If you think the police on the other side of town is the reason you're not getting raped, murdered, and maimed on the street every day, and it's not other reasonable men walking around, you are crazy.
Yeah, true that. But let me get I do agree with that. Let me get a balance to it. If you're looking at it from a totem pole perspective, and your argument is, out of those who are protected, Black women are the least protected, versus when we look at white women, Hispanic women, white men, other people like that, then historically, yes, you are correct. True. So if you're looking at it from a historical broad picture, and not just historical, but a historical and a overall societal hierarchy perspective, then I will give you that. I'll give you that.
Just to lay it at the feet of Black men, though, is unfair.
Right. I agree with that. Yes, exactly. I agree with that, because it's blame that this is a society thing. And you gotta blame because society doesn't even allow us to protect you the way that we want to. There's a reason why felons cannot carry firearms, and then black men are also, you know, convicted of felonies many times more than any other. All of these things is systemic and is done on purpose. And when you're not in positions of power, and you cannot, and you don't you don't have the ability, or you haven't been allowed to protect your own neighborhoods. See, white people go to certain neighborhoods, they protect their own neighborhood. The police come in and help, but they protect their own. We don't have the ability. We will get put in that car real quick if we try to stand up or do it. Like it's not the same. So yeah, I agree with that. Okay, it is an hour and 30 minutes, and we're going to stop on time since we went late last time. Nikki, did you I saw you looking up in the air like you still had some other thoughts. You want to get something else out before we leave?
No, I just kind of forgot what the freak I was gonna say. No, I forgot what I was gonna say. I forgot where I was going with this. It was definitely one I was wanting. I know I was wanting to chime in on some of the comments that were being made about this, like the justification of it and just the scenarios around it. But I think it just goes back to kind of what we really bottom line talk about in a lot of these kind of conversations is that, you know, we got to do better. We got to do better. We really got to do better. We really got to step into reality. Like, and maybe because there is so much social media creating these alternative worlds for people, that people slip into these spaces of like delusion and I don't fucking know, detachment from the real world. But there's just no way that you can think that you can carry on in certain ways and you're not going to be dealt with. And that goes for men and women. But in this particular case, you know, being a reckless, being an aggressive, being an aggressor, being the type of woman who hits and punches and pokes and pokes and pokes and pokes and pokes. You can only poke a bear so long. That's just the nature of a beast. It doesn't make it right, but we have to do better. Like women, we have to be better with our actions and our mouths. Men have to be better with their hands and their responses. Like everybody, no. So hit dogs holler. If that bothers you, then you need to go take a look at that, right? But like we got to do better because whatever is happening, men are picking up bricks and hitting women in the faces with it. And there's nowhere there's nowhere other than a self-defense situation where that can even be remotely normal. And I hate to go back to what Fred said, because he said it's only happening because men are soft these days. And I don't think that that's a natural, I don't think that justifies a man picking up a brick either, but like, what the fuck? Like, it's not like men are any more violent today than they were before. I don't think women are any more reckless today than they were before. I think you see the same intensity on both sides, right? Abusive men are abusive and reckless women are reckless. That's just who they are. But like, we have to be better if we really want to change this or do something different with this. I think, you know, Ivory, you had made a comment, something about, you know, like just what you'd heard growing up and just how to position yourself in places so that you know how to avoid certain situations. And I'm the same way. Like, there's a lot of things that women have experienced I've never experienced because my intuition has said, girl, get the fuck out of there. You don't belong there. This is not where you need to be at, right? And like, this is how I've raised my children. This is how I've raised my daughter. Like, I've laid out prep work for her from the time we could understand conversation with each other, like how to avoid certain things and people and places and scenarios. Now that I have boys who are society's aggressors, right? Who are the predators of society, right? Like, I have to talk to them differently about how they handle women or about the type of women that they even let into their circle and into their space. Because I don't want to have to deal with my sons having to restrain a reckless woman. And I don't want to deal with my daughter being hit by a coward ass man. It's not going to go good for anybody in our family. But I think that a lot of people may not be taught those things. I think that, you know, a lot of people have just been taught that any attention is good attention.
Right.
Any attention, you know, even bad attention is good attention, and negative attention is still it's still attention. As long as I have attention, doesn't matter how I go about getting it.
So I like what best practice you said. Like I said, we need more information. And I think that is a
could be helpful.
problem, is that we don't In today's society, we don't need more information.
Right.
Not to make a judgment. See, so there, I don't think there should be a strong judgment. The strong judgment is men should not hit women with bricks.
Right.
And
Period.
that should be the strong judgment. But as far as all this other stuff about what the other people, they should have protected her, and like then you start diving into stuff that we really don't have the information to make a sound judgment on.
Mm-hmm.
And we should let certain facts just, I think it's only a couple facts in there. Now, most of the stuff I said was speculation, but the one thing I will remain is she shouldn't have got hit with that brick. And anybody who hit her with that brick, you should go to jail.
Right.
That's the only solid thing that I can say.
Right.
But is so dangerous because we make strong judgments and projections from those judgments with very limited information, and we do it all the time on a daily basis, going through all of the different posts we look through. We don't fact check stuff. We don't, most of the stuff. Anytime I see a meme that actually grabs my attention, I don't even click on the meme. I take the name and I'll Google it. I look at news. I'll look at different sources to see, is this actually validated? Like it was something that I was looking at the other day talking about the Boris Cujo and Nicole, Boris and his wife Nicole, and talking about they getting a divorce because she said sometimes like she's getting tired and bored of married life, this and this. She made a basic statement, talk about how married life gets boring sometimes, which every married person has said at some point in their life.
Right.
And they just ran off, and I didn't even go into it. And because I'm on a men's chat, and they over here going in. See, I told you women ain't never satisfied over nothing, and this and this and that. And I'm like, let me do some little bit of research. Dude, they not even getting a divorce. She was just doing an interview, and she's just talking about after you've been married for 17 years,
right,
things get boring sometimes. And you done went into this whole different rant because that's how you already feel, and it's people know how to make posts that feed into you're already, the thoughts that you already have, your negative thoughts, and they just feed into those negative stereotypes, and you just run with it. Ain't do no fact checking. They fine, they happily married, they ain't going nowhere. And somebody baited you with a little quick clip, and you ran with it.
Baited. Good word.
Baited. People get baited all the time. And it's not even hard to just do a little bit of digging. Right. It took me all of 90 seconds to just look. Let me see if this source is validated by other sources. And it wasn't. Somebody just made that up and then you ran with it. That's dangerous.
Very.
But in today's society, it's not going to stop. Because one of the things that irritates me so much is I watch most of the stuff I do on YouTube. And even when I go to YouTube, the first thing it does is put me in the little shorts, the little 10-second clips. I'm like, I don't want to watch this little 10-second clip stuff. Like they condition your mind to have this short attention span. I'm done. Guys, thank everyone for watching and listening in. Thank everyone who participated. Remember, this is not the Q, Nikki, and Ivory show. As much as we love your comments and your posts and participation and sharing, feel free to jump on with us.
Come on to the show.
You can talk as much or as little as you want to. I've heard people say this sometimes. I don't know, man. Y'all I'm kind of scared to talk with y'all. We just having a conversation. That's all. Don't feel intimidated, nothing like that. So yeah, thank everyone. And if you have any comments or ideas, make sure you share them. We always looking for new ideas. And no matter when you watch this, especially if you've gotten to the end of this show, then make sure that you share and like. And like Nikki said, last thing I'm gonna say, if we got 600 and some followers on Facebook, we need you to go on over to YouTube and subscribe as well. Let's build up multiple pages. We are going to do some things in the work. I feel it coming. It's time. I feel it coming.
It's coming. It's coming. For
sure. All right. Well, outside of that, y'all have a nice evening, and we'll talk to y'all next week.